All right, all right.
I'm just making sure it shows up on my side. Looks like we have 4 people.
Do we?
Yeah. And I always like to start off by asking, can you hear us? I like to check with our audience and see if we're like super loud, not loud enough. Give us some feedback and let us know. Cool.
All right. They said we were working. Cool.
Okay,
Cool.
good. All right, cool.
All right. All
Oh,
right. They said we were
oh shoot.
working. Cool.
Okay, good. So, all right. I turned it off. Sorry.
Can't take her anywhere, I tell you. It's like it's our first time ever doing this. So we're going to give some people some time to get in and whatnot. Uh,
We have our friend.
our longtime friend Nick Burton from the Bootstrap Farmer. Me and him have been talking. Ooh,
Y'all
man.
had lunch a long time ago. I didn't even get to meet him until recently.
Yeah, and he's been on me for a while to do a podcast with him, and it didn't. It took us to move up to Northeast Texas to finally.
We had to become neighbors.
Everything always works out for the best. So
Yeah. Oh man, but we've been using the Bootstrap Farmer product since day one when Mike he was the little pond farmer or something like that, and
Mike with
the Fit Farmer.
The Fit Farmer.
And when Jess had basically showcased how durable and strong y'all trays were,
it's Jess that put you on the map for me.
Yeah, but
right, that happens a lot.
Yeah, because our first year gardening, we were using trays, those cheap little trays that you get from the big box stores, and those barely last a full season.
What really happened is he got an injury. I mean, he could make up a story to make it fascinating, but it was bowling.
Whatever.
Bowling pulled a muscle.
I was bowling with 75-pound balls, so I was
that didn't count, right?
Here we go.
But he did pull a muscle bowling.
I didn't pull a muscle. I popped a tendon.
That's right.
Yeah.
But the trays, the Bootstrap Farmer trays, were the only ones that with one hand that he could like carry stuff around and not like flop.
Right.
Yeah. So Nick, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got in. Basically your 3-minute spiel, whatever.
Yeah, sure. I started farming in 2012. I had a landscape company for 16 to 18 years at that point. We were putting in a retail nursery. I bought a little hydroponic system, like as a lark, as a novelty to the nursery. We already mowed and took care of a bunch of restaurants, and so it was really quick to just sell that out really fast. So we decided to go all in, built a full-on hydroponic farm, both indoor hydroponic NFT, lettuce, greens, a little bit of microgreens, not much, year-round tomatoes outside here in North Texas, and then a 30 by 96 hoop house that we basically, our farm was a little bit different than most in that we had a subscription salad service where we would deliver salads to offices every single Wednesday. And then that gave us a couple of days to basically turn around and do the same thing at the farmer's market, turned into a food truck, turned into catering events. So the added value kind of way of farming and selling our produce is where we started out. And we had a couple really bad years of rain. The first year at the retail nursery was great, and then we just got hammered the next two. But the indoor growing was great, so we just pivoted. What we cut, what didn't work. Landscape company was still rolling, and that's when we added the food truck and really settled into all the catering and stuff like that. Sometime year 2 of that, I decided to do this thing a long time ago, back before Zoom was around or anybody was doing anything online. But I had something called State of the Soil. I decided that I had a really good first couple of years. I was asked to do customer testimonials from the people I bought my stuff from. That led to I wanted to kind of give back. I really enjoyed teaching other farmers the marketing side of things. So I was teaching hydroponic classes for them, doing conferences, that kind of thing. And so then I just kind of made a big investment, bought a few cameras, didn't know what to do with cameras at that point. Hired a production company. They kind of showed me the ropes, and then I went all over the country for about 3 months, filming farms, doing interviews with them on how they did their marketing, and then we put that out. And that was like the world's most expensive resume, because then Bootstrap Farmer found me because of that. And they're like, hey, we need a video guy. I'm like, well, I'm not really a video guy, and I have all these other businesses. But after a while, it just was the right thing to do. Best decision I ever made coming here. I sold my companies back to my employees, and here I am, creative director for Bootstrap Farmer. Work with a great team, and then just all around the companies. It's grown really good the last few years. And I work with the people I care the most about and doing the thing I care the most about. We've been able to move a lot of stuff to the United States. Most all of our injection molding is now in the United States after the last couple of years pushing for that. I designed the greenhouse and the all metal one that's fabricated right here in Texas. So that's kind of how I fit into the company. Everybody in the company is multifunctional, though. There's not one person that just does one thing. Everybody's like a 5-tool player here.
All right.
That's something that's impressed us with you guys as a team, like how well you guys work and how honest you guys are. Like when we had issues, like just trying to like get in place with our hoop house,
Right.
like transparent and honest and helpful. Like literally, you guys talked us out of something more expensive because it didn't benefit us.
Our reputation's on the line. If it's not worth making any additional money on a sale if that's not going to be the best for that farmer. And there is times to make an investment, and sometimes there's times to go middle way, and sometimes it's like a complete change. And that's kind of what we're here for. Most everybody here has some type of growing background, some type of farming background, so they can. I feel like if somebody called into the company and talked to 5 different people that worked here, they're going to get 5 different solutions or things to think about for that person's question. And I really want to hammer on, at the end of the day, no matter who calls us, it's still up to them to kind of make that final decision for themselves, because they know everything involved. And maybe we can help them, through a couple of these things, or maybe they didn't think about something, or didn't know something was available, or that they didn't have to go so far in on the ways that they wanted to go, which happens a lot.
The thing I like when I first called, and this was a few years ago, my first time called, I had a tray, and one of y'all trays had leaked because we were doing some bottom watering. And I called up there because y'all have a great warranty on y'all products. I called up there, hey, I was going to call, like, hey, one of my trays is leaking. And the first thing that happened was I got a person. I didn't get no automated person.
Right.
Prompt to tell me who I was trying to reach for, or sales or something like that. And I forgot, it was some lady at the time, and
that's what hooked us.
Yeah,
actually.
And I was like, yeah, I got this tray that popped. She's like, what's the order number? And I told her, and then she said, okay, we'll send you out there. I'm like, y'all don't want the tray back or anything? Like, no, we'll just send it to you, and you get in about 2 or 3 business days. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, it's like
we don't use. Yeah.
It's real unique that we're all over the place. We work, you guys know, but we do work remotely. Everybody, I'm at where the warehouse is, but we're so spread out. So we have coverage throughout all the different time zones. I don't know. It just works out real well. And the people that answer the phones, we've got a few more this year, because every year we always need just one more person, it seems. But I think we're a little ahead of that this year. And man, the team right now is really solid. I'm really proud of everybody. It's fun.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Y'all have expanded. Y'all were basically, I guess, concentrated. I don't want to say concentrated, but focused or targeted a lot of gardeners and market gardeners and stuff like that.
A lot of market gardening.
Right.
And now just to see how much y'all have expanded just from the last 3 years is crazy.
It's an economy of scale. We were market gardeners when we started it, right? So as that comes on, you can scale down a little bit and take care of gardeners, or you can scale up and take care of bigger commercial growers. We have 2 people on full time on our tech team now, and they kind of handle like bigger projects, multiple greenhouses, multiple year plan outs, kind of thing like that. Um, the thing that really shook us up was when the pandemic hit. Our phones just got flooded by people asking us, some of the things we'll talk about tonight. How do I start seeds? And we weren't really ready for to do one-on-one consultations at that level, because we were used to working for people that had been in the game for a minute and kind of knew what to do, and maybe just needed help, deciding on a couple of options. But that really led down, at least for the content side as well, to make different video programs, a lot more blogs on just the very bone basics. That way, if somebody calls in, we can say, well, we have these references for you. Check them out. If you have any real specific questions, call us back. Let us know if we can help. But it freed up the phone line, but at the same time, everybody got access to like a whole bunch of new stuff as far as videos and things to watch. So it kind of goes hand in hand, not just the products, but the service on the back end, and then the educational pieces on the other side.
Speaking on some of the video content stuff, some of our followers have no idea that you're about to launch a whole new deal. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. It's funny, man. We'll film all kinds of, I'm the guy that goes and like films everything wherever it needs to be filmed, and then we bring it back and edit it down, and it goes through a whole system in which we have an idea based off of what people are asking. We'll find somebody to go, because we can't do it all anymore, right? And I like to visit other different farms, and we learn so much, and so we go film that. And then from there, we have our social media tips. Then we can form our blogs, but then everybody gets to see another farmer's place, our take on it, or we will do how-tos on our products, or maybe how to do trellising vines or something like that. So just 2 weeks ago, we filmed for 4 days at the Big Tex urban farm at the state fair. We've done a hydroponic series. It's now 27 videos long. The first one's launched tomorrow. And so we field a lot of hydro questions. That's how I came up. So Drew is the nicest guy in farming and has a little bit of everything at their demonstration farm. So we filmed Drew talking about all of his systems. And it's meant to be, if you're thinking about hydroponics and just want like some straight answers, they're short videos, but there's a lot of them, and they're packed with a bunch of stuff. So we're really looking forward to that. And then as soon as we get done with this, I start packing, and we're going to work on a community garden in Atlanta with, if some people follow Mylan from ATL Grow. So we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with him this year. And we got a lot of other stuff going, but those are the 2 highlights on top of my head, as well as you and I, we got a little project coming up too. So looking forward to that too.
So our friends Mad Acres Farm, they're a nice couple that do a lot of CSA out there, and I think it's Idaho or Iowa. And they was asking, does Bootstrap offer a hydroponic class in the Midwest? But you were just saying that y'all are going to put that together, so it's coming out,
a video series.
A video series coming out soon.
Yeah, and since you've asked about it, basically how we addressed this was, there's questions people call to ask about hydroponic farming, but from somebody that did hydroponic farming for 6 years, plus I've seen, I can't even tell you how many hydroponic places I've been to across the country, from LA to Brooklyn, right? And so there's the questions I wish people would have asked. And so that's how we set up this series of videos, is like, dehumidifiers, what's Drew's take on it? Cooling a greenhouse, what's your take on it? NFT. So we go through all these basic questions, and then we take a look at each system. How do we really feel about aeroponics? How do we feel about deep water? How do we feel about Dutch buckets? And then we show how those systems not only operate, how to maintain them, what crops are in there, but then how to build those systems or set them up, because you buy components, but you still have to do the plumbing. And all the while is reminding people that, make sure that your customer is going to buy the stuff before you spend any money putting it up. And plus,
that's a valuable aspect.
That's everything starts with, can you sell it? And are you building the right system for the right crop? That's what this whole thing is based around. And Drew's so much fun to hang out with. We're already planning like more shoots throughout the year when we can. But I'm super proud of this. We got new cameras, so I'm very excited about that. But
So what you gonna do with those old cameras?
still using. So one of those things we've been using the wrong cameras. So
oh man. So I do like I'm gonna start saving my money up because I do like y'all
oh, he was lusting earlier. I caught him like looking.
hey, so sometimes you lust, you know.
The self-watering system that y'all have.
The rack.
Yeah, I love it. I think they came out last year or the year before.
Man, my whole time warp over the last 2 years. I have no idea what happened when, but I want to say 2 to 3 years ago. And
yeah, I saw that. Well, first y'all had the cooling rack or fans on the side of them, and then I guess y'all did the automatic watering system. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the best idea ever.
Yeah, and he's been lusting.
And that's one of those things where, can you build a rack yourself? Absolutely. We buy a lot of these parts in such volume that if you're to go part to part, we're able to get that to your front door already assembled, shipping included, for really cheaper than what most people can buy those parts. If you went part to part, yes, there's cheaper parts that you can get, and you don't have to go as fancy as we do. But that's one of those things where we're using our buying power, our ability to make a lot of stuff here at the warehouse and shipping out. There's a guy in San Antonio. He bought the first round of them, and he's up to like 30 something racks right now. So he's got a bunch. And this is for people that they don't want to design their own stuff. They're already either this is their side hustle and their full-time job doesn't allow them to play R&D/engineer at their house. It's like, I just want this and I want it to work. It covers 95% of the growers out there. There's always some little tweaks that you're going to do as a farmer, but yeah, that's been a fun one too. And it's wild to see something that you've designed go out into the world all over the place, and it's just fun to see.
Yeah. So he was asking what are NTFs, but he was like NFTs. We are using NFTs and trying to expand our knowledge, looking forward towards the series.
So NFT is what I had in my indoor grow. So nutrient film technology, nutrient film technique, you hear those kind of interchangeably,
okay.
But it's primarily for leafy greens, some herbs, just kind of depend on the setup, in which there's a gutter style of trough, and you'll put your plants in there and they grow out. I personally love it for indoor farming because that's what I did. So we did spend a lot of time on that, and I would say that that's probably going to be out last week of January or so. Like I said, we have 10 videos coming out tomorrow or throughout the week. I can't really remember exactly how we scheduled that out, but it's going to be like a month-long thing.
Okay,
that's cool.
For everyone, if you ever heard of Bootstrap Farmer, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't and would like to learn some more information, put hashtag let me know. Broke Farmer was like asking what kind of watering system. So you got to go to their website. Their website, I've just looked at it again today, and I see y'all added more stuff on there and changed some stuff up on there.
And it depends on your needs too.
But they have a 3-tier rack watering system, a 4-tier, and a 5-tier. It comes fully loaded with cooling fans, lights, water system, and everything.
And after listening to him, if you're a person like you, Broke, like us, we would look at all of those parts. We would take the time to try to like put it together. Maybe he doesn't have the time, so he wants to actually buy it.
Yeah, and that's the thing I like about it, because it comes already put together. The only thing you got to do is, I think, add the water into this.
Yeah. So the only thing you have to do is plug the pump in, add the water, set the timers, and then you're off to the races.
Yeah.
And look, this was version. By the time we finally launched this was like version 10 that we had to go through. So it's like we know how these don't work. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah. On this.
And there's things that we custom do to some of these parts that just make it work a lot better, like additional drainage holes or stuff like that. It's just things that we knew that would work. The tricky thing is shipping that thing. I mean, it's tall, and it's just something that less than full freight load carriers, they like to knock stuff around. So,
Well,
you know,
that's here in Paris too, right?
yeah, everything
I could
that's
just go there
anything
and just pick it up.
anything that we assemble can be picked up. Yeah.
So I could just pick it up tomorrow. And just...
Give me like 6 hours to put it together.
Okay. Our friend Yellow Rose was asking, are there any geoheating and cooling products? For greenhouses.
So we don't carry anything like that, just because that's such a variable amount of things that you could do, depending on where you're at, depending on what the soil structure looks like. I do have a video. I think we have 2 series on hoop houses, 101 and hoop houses 102. I think it's in the hoop house 101 where we do specifically talk about pros and cons of geothermal heating.
He watched all of
it. But I don't have any products for it. It's mainly going to be PVC parts, pipe parts, and a ton of labor. So.
Hey, bro, Sunny, one of our.
Sunny's all over it.
Yeah, she's great.
That's our friend. So check her out, guys.
Yeah, she's one of our moderators. She's this is the link that you can check their automatic vertical propagation tools at.
And that's the thing. It's primarily bought as a microgreens rack, especially at the 5 tier. But the 4 tier and the 3 tier, I mean, can for sure anything seed starting wise could be put in there. And it was designed to play a multiple role or a combination of roles. Again, it's going to serve most people 95% of what they need.
Star was asking, can you grow tomatoes with hydroponics? Yes, You can grow tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers. What are some things, since you were a hydroponics person, what are some things you don't want to grow in hydroponics?
So, well, we do have a video over that, so I'm going to paraphrase it, but it's basically, there's nothing you can't grow, but the thing you have to really ask yourself is does it make sense to grow this in hydroponics? So for instance, you're not going to want to grow root crops in there. Look, there's a lot of people like to debate, is soil better, is hydroponics better? For me, it's more of like, how can we put a system normally where farming can't be done in an urban area, in a warehouse or something like that, get hyper local food miles and save the soil for stuff that's better suited for it, right? Carrots, potatoes, turnips, any of those root crops, cabbage, the amount of space a cabbage takes up doesn't make sense to grow that in a controlled environment or hydroponics. But you can, like, if you wanted to build a deep water pond and put pumpkins in the middle of it, you could. It would make no sense. It would be a mess, and then everybody would point to it and be like, "Well, that's a big failure." Well, no, it's just the wrong product or the wrong crop for the wrong system. But to answer this question in particular, Dutch bucket tomatoes, indeterminate vining crops are going to be the best way to go for the Dutch bucket or slab type growing, both of which we cover in these videos at length, because that's one of the things that I did at my farm was 30 by 36 full on heated greenhouse for tomatoes year round up in North Texas, because I needed them for those salads. It made sense to grow those year rounds because I already had a premium product I was able to sell, but it may not make sense year round, especially if you don't have a market.
So this is a good time for us to talk to you because we're like not as active as we should be, but we need to research, like how do we go about researching for marketing, like a market garden?
Well, for you guys, I'm a cheap date and we're just around the corner, you know what I mean?
I love it.
So it's a great question, and one I wish more people would ask up front. And the number one thing, if you think you want to be a market gardener, think about ways that interest you in the selling of it. Because a lot of people get into farming, I don't want to work in the office anymore. I just want to go, kick it in my garden and not talk to anybody anymore. And then you're forcing yourself to go talk to a bunch of strangers every Saturday. Like it's not a great system if your whole thing is to get away from folks. But if that is a component, let's just pick a farmer's market. It's just to go to farmers markets, especially before they open, and just watch people set up, watch how they unload their truck or their car? How do they get everything out? What do you like about one booth? What do you not like about another booth? What are you noticing about how people are conducting their business? Are they taking credit cards? How long are the lines? Well, if the line is long here, why? If this person also had, start to notice all these things, and not necessarily just in your area. I mean, we can go to farmers markets all over Dallas, and they're fantastic. But I could also take you to markets in San Diego and LA and New York, and they're just blown up. Partly because of population, but also partly because the markets there are so competitive, all the cream rises to the crop. And you see the best of the best on how to run a farmer's market. So visiting as many as possible is fantastic. Farm stands, think about, farm stands have this farm charm appeal where you drive up and you're supporting the farmer right there. Like in your case, and you guys are looking into it.
That's what our plan is. Yeah. Farm stand, because we're in a situation where we can do that. Not everybody can do it.
Right. But what I would have you do in that situation is think about all the reasons people, as they drive by, why they would not stop. So is there not enough parking? Is the highway too dangerous? A bunch of rock trucks coming by or whatever the case. Like I know at your place in particular, there's a ton of semi-truck traffic. So making sure that people feel safe when they pull over, making sure that, oh, I didn't bring any cash, there's a Venmo QR code, or making sure that you have the type of products that they want to buy versus, oh, they have jars of pickles again. I mean, how many jars of pickles could you possibly buy? So having something for the people in your area, making them feel welcome, taking away any barrier that would prevent them from actually giving you money.
Okay. Yeah, because when we were living closer to Dallas, we would go to the farmer market there in Dallas, and we started out backyard gardeners and stuff, and we was like, oh man, look at them. They're not selling no fancy, good-looking tomatoes or something like that. But after listening to, I think your guy out, where's the guy in Kansas City?
Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy and the other Paris farms, they was basically saying,
Carl?
Yeah, they were saying, they started off that way, and then they learned that most people aren't familiar with that. They just want the basic stuff that you can get at the farmer, grocery store and stuff. So I was like, oh man,
I know. So like we're interested, like I have all kinds of interest in growing stuff. And it's really from you that I was like, oh, we need to think about if we're going to be selling goods, I really need to think differently about what I'm going to be growing. Maybe it's not the fancy stuff. That's where the research.
Yeah, we'll keep the fancy stuff or the interesting stuff at our farm.
I want to have a corner, like in the high tunnel, that's like just for my fancy stuff.
Right. Well, if these days people they don't cook as much as they used to, right? And so, or they go all out and cook everything. Those would be the people that are going to come to you, but that's very far and few between. The other thing is people say they're adventurous in their eating, but typically there's a repeatable pattern that they're going to eat the same things around the same times, whether that's seasonal or not. And they're going to want that whether you can grow it or not. And so having purple carrots next to orange carrots, you're going to sell out of orange carrots every single time. And you're going to have purple carrots left over. Purple carrots are awesome. I love them. You love them. But they may not be the best thing for the market. And but if you're not growing 10 to 15% of your space out for you and making it fun for you, then it really becomes a job, right?
Yeah.
So, and it is a job, but it also, we're so lucky that we're in the space that we can, grow something for ourselves or grow something for that 1, 2, 3, 4% of our market that is going to try that thing. And price is going to be totally irrelevant to somebody like that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Star.
Thanks, Star, for the $5.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, Sonny put marketable and familiarity. Do
you want me to read that?
Yeah, sure.
Marketability and familiarity.
Yeah, sure.
Is important. Yeah.
Sure. Matt Akers, though, like I said, they do a lot of farmers market and CSA type stuff, and they found that attending a lot of the farmer markets as possible has increased their foot traffic. But
so my question to you guys about that, and you, Nick, you've been out to our place. We do have some main roads. We've been selling at, like, I'm always selling out of eggs. Like, I have no problem because we have such a main road. I don't know that I'm motivated at all to do that if I have the traffic.
Right.
But some people don't have the traffic. Like our friend that we love to go see at the farmers market in Paris, Carl.
Yeah.
Like we
always buy stuff from him
yeah,
when we
but
get there.
where he is and growing, like that's not some place that people are going to go like drive to out there.
Right.
There's a lot of people that are like growing like off the cut. That's not, you know.
Well, for you in particular, really, it's just like real estate, location, location, location bit, right? So you guys have enough space to really do whatever you would want as far as how many days or how many events would we want to have a year, and really tailor your farm's income and whole strategy around, okay, maybe we have 4 blowout events a year. And in order to make I'm just throwing out silly numbers here, right? So let's say you want to make $40,000 a year on this, and you decided that I just want to do something seasonally 4 times. That's 4 events. Each event would have to bring in $10,000. So now, what does that event look like? Like either in volume or price or amenities to this farm visit would that have to generate? And or if it doesn't look realistic at that point, go, well, maybe we have to do 8. And maybe the 8 is partly for farmers to come out and, like you guys do, this is how you learn how to do the chickens for meat birds.
That process.
Yeah, and then maybe the other time or something else you can do, and we've talked about this, is letting the local photographers know, hey, we have a working farm. You can come out. Here's the rates. Have the rates in black and white, so people, if anybody ever asks how much would it cost or can I come out to the farm, there should be a rate sheet ready to go. That
we
way,
need to figure that out.
Yeah, it's not negotiable.
Beautiful scenery, like for photographers and families to take
right.
photos.
And if you, and I'll put it to you this way, the more stuff you do in preparation for that, the higher price you can charge. And look, this isn't something that's going to pay off the farm, right? But it's going to add income stream, especially if you're doing things like, hey, we're going to plant a half acre of sunflowers. That's a killer every time. And make sure that they have to go through a spot on your farm to get to that. That's like, this is set up and your farm name is there. And this is a little picture opportunity. So every time somebody passes that picture around, boom, your farm name is there. Your farm name is there. If like, no matter who comes out, if they're doing photography, they need a place to change, maybe a place to go to the bathroom, maybe some refreshments. These are all add-on services that you could do. And I know we're getting a little away from farming, but this is just different ways that you can maximize where you're at.
I think that helps give people ideas.
Yeah, because I think we have a lot of people that do CSA marketing that are interested in
JD Branch is in here, yes.
Yeah, JD Branch, they do a little market, the microgreen market.
Yeah, they have a good microgreen situation.
And they use your products. They talk highly about it.
Fans of you.
Yeah.
Thank you, JD.
yeah, that was actually something we bonded over in the East Texas Homesteading Co-op.
Yeah.
But one of the suggestions you made to me, and that's kind of like been in my background, was like the way where our hoop house is. Like we could set up an evening with a movie screen and like have a nice thing and do something with serving like the American breast, for people that are interested in seeing like what that meat tastes like. And like we have an opportunity. And what's cool where we are is that we're in an unrestricted area. Like we can literally do fireworks on our property. Like nobody can tell us like what to do here.
So if you couple that with what Matt Akers has on the screen right now, is getting involved in as many farmers markets as possible has really increased foot traffic to the farm. Well, if we're going to have foot traffic to the farm, what are we going to do with it then? And that should be a place to go, check this out. Here's our event schedule for the next. If you're going to have 30 people all come out on as a visit, give them something to sign up for. Like if they just come out and be like, man, that was cool, but what's next? Like, okay, they're going to have a fall event. They're going to have a movie night series. They're going to have, come do a barbecue, whatever the case it is. I'm just shooting from the hip here. But getting them out to the farm is one thing. Getting them to sign up and tell their friends about it on the next thing. And you can do things. This is what I did for my brunches, right? Is I only sold tickets in pairs, so just couples, right? And I priced them so high that I priced them at a point that people are not going to spend $20 on their kid for brunch. But selling them in twos, they will invite their friends. And so we had a bunch of 4 and 6 tops come out to the farm, no kids, no hassles. I mean, and yeah, the price increased and our work went down, and I didn't have to chase kids out of places on the farm they shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Liability, yeah.
Summer Pick Farm said we have to remember to put a small buffer on your products. We use a 25% buffer over what we sell for loss or better sales than we expected.
Covering credit card fees, covering Eventbrite fees. Yeah.
Yeah. Because people like want to use like Venmo, you know, like certain things, and there are like absorbent fees that start to rack up. Yeah.
So sweet Tracy. What's up, Tracy?
So they said that Matt Acres, we thought the same thing. We are a little out the way. Our community generally wants to know more how the food is grown and coming. And that's something we kind of do as well. When somebody pick up, especially our American breasts, chickens, or the meat or their eggs, we like to give like a little tour and kind of show them how we how they live, how they're
There's
how we manage
an
them.
emotional investment.
Yeah.
Right.
With our customers.
And the stuff that we're talking about, there's no reason that 2 or 3 farmers couldn't get together and pull this off. And look at your immediate network. You know, if you and Carl and the beef people we were talking about, maybe even the bonds at some point when they get fully rolling, to combine forces to do this, and then just like Matt Acres, you one weekend it's over here, one weekend it's over there, one weekend it's over here. Now all of you guys are raising that tide.
And I would happily like promote for another, especially on our kind of format. And like even us, because we're constantly selling out of eggs. I know a few neighbors that sell them, and I literally send them over to, you know, somebody else. We like to do that community kind of building.
Yes, Star. We've been talking to Nick about, you know, he's been giving us some ideas that we can do. So stay tuned. It's not going to happen this year. We're still trying to.
We're figuring out like our scheduling, but it is going to happen. Yeah. Like we're going to be very meticulous about it because I'm a little OCD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we need a couple of more sessions.
Yeah.
But our setup is beautiful because we are located right next to a community center that's located at one of our gates, and I can rent that place as part of whatever event that we do, very inexpensive for a day, and have an extra kitchen. And so I mean, we're in a really great situation for future planning. Yeah.
So I see you got some colorful products there. You want to talk about those?
I was told we're going to talk about seed starting, so I was kind of getting ready for that.
Good. Seed starting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because all of us, like literally, we told you, but everybody in here doesn't know. We have at our feet, there's seeds all over the floor.
Yeah.
There's seed packets all over our floor right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of y'all are a mess like that.
If anybody's about to ready to start some seeds,
make sure you hit that thumbs up.
Comment down below. Let us know what type of seeds you're starting, or when you're going to be starting your seeds. But so right now, 3 weeks ago, we started our hot pepper seeds. Now we're going to start our herbs and flower tea seeds.
We kind of gave up on the winter garden.
Yeah, that Arctic blast just killed everything.
It really killed my motivation. Oh, Star knows. Star understands the value of your wife right now. Like,
huh?
No. Go ahead and hit that. Go ahead and hit that.
No, I'm going with Emma.
I want to see Star.
That's your plan and then on World Naked Gardening Day.
You know, that's the thing. The reason that we do our lives the first Saturday of every month is because
the first Saturday of May is the World International Naked Gardening Day.
We didn't know that before our name, so it just kind of like happens.
Yeah. To get back on track, because I'll do it. So just today, the Johnny seed shows up in the mail. And this is kind of the day of freak out when that thing comes, because you start flipping through there. It's, oh, I want to grow that. I want to grow that. I want to grow that. And it's like nonstop. So I think if we're going to even talk about seed starting, let's talk about how much you can actually grow. What are you actually going to eat, and what could you actually sell? And again, I do think that a certain percentage should be for fun, but it's so easy to get in the weeds and just order without checking, is this going to grow in my zone? Without checking, what are the germination temperatures that this needs to be? You know, do I have the right soil mixes? Because if you get all your seeds and without research, you put all of them on a heat mat, your peppers and tomatoes are going to pop, and your lettuce is going to have a real hard time. So knowing what each individual seed's needs are before we order them and not have the right stuff, that's probably my number one thing, is always start with what are you going to be able to eat or sell, and then pick the right seed. All of that information, both Johnny's and Truly do a really good job of, in the specifications, is giving all these different tips on what that individual variety, not necessarily, you know, carrots is a block, but they'll tell you what this one does and what a Napoli does and what a Cosmos does. And that's really something to stick to.
Yeah.
Our friend here, JD Branch, is a big Truly fan.
Yeah, that they do a lot of microgreening and stuff like that. We dabbled in it. We were okay in it. It's one of those things you got to kind of basically hone down and things of that nature.
A Star is asking about what trays would be best for her. She's a backyard gardener that's new at it. So what would you recommend for her?
So if you're gardening, like, let's reframe just for gardening. We're gonna set farming aside for a second and just garden. And if we had to take a look at, this is going to be the basis in which we start a garden for a family or one or two people, right? We have two things you can look at. Try not to bang stuff around. We have cell trays. This is a 200 count cell tray. And I'm going to have a hard time believing that if a single family gardener planted 200 heads of lettuce at one time, that would be very useful, right? Because then you have all this lettuce all ready to go, and you're going to be a rabbit for like 2 weeks, and then you're eating Cheetos the rest of the month.
Or you can have rabbits like us and feed it to them.
Right. And it's also, a 200 cell is so small, it may not be good for every single crop. So if you do things like a 128 or a 72 or a 72 air prune tray, which
I love those.
Which has, let me see if I can get this a little closer, which has the slits to air prune, so you kind of get some soil blocking action. But either way, a 72 kind of gives you a little bit more room to go. Let's do 3, 4, 5. Let's do 6 heads of this type of lettuce, 6 types of this lettuce. Let's do some scallions. You know, our potato slips are going to grow in a grow bag or container garden, but maybe we're going to direct sow some carrots, so we're not worried about that. But here's our basil, and then here's a little bit of thyme, and then let's go ahead and get our spaghetti squash going. And then you're going to find out it's too early. But once these are transplanted out, you could use this tray again to start doing more of your summer varieties. So this gives you just a basis in which you can go. I can either, let's say somebody was like super into carrots, right? And they just wanted to do a bunch of little baby carrots. That's totally possible. Or also in the 1020, you could take the little 6 cells that we currently have and put 12 of them in there, and each one could be 6 heads of lettuce, or squash in this one, zucchini in the other one. They're kind of color coded, so it might help a little bit better. But this is like,
we started with those.
It's like mixing and matching. Yeah, you can mix and match in ways that make sense to however you want to. We have black, white, purple, pink, orange, green, and blue. So you can do something different in each one. And then, you know, of course you can have more trays, but a small starter pack is 40 of these. You know, so a 5-pack of trays and a stack of those, and one person can over time just plant this. And that's what I like about these is it's too early to do peppers, but let's do some lettuce.
Yeah.
And this is grown up. We're going to transplant this out, but we can put something back in. And you're bottom watering in this tray, right? So the water's lapping up. It's soaking in. I kind of got it buried over there, but we have two different sizes of humidity domes. So no matter what you're trying to do, this flat with no holes is the basis in which you can put all of these different options into. And then as the season progresses, it's trying to be semi-prepared. But as the season progresses, you can up pot.
Yes.
That's what I did.
Yeah, this is Whispering Willow's summer collection of colors, but these are 2.5-inch cups. We have 5-inch pots. This is the first time I've ever said this to anybody, but we do have a 3-inch and a 4-inch pot coming. Don't ask me when. I would say anywhere.
Whatever.
But no, it's probably 2 to 4 months, because if I say it's next week, it'll take 6
Uppotting
weeks.
really was the success that I had as somebody with growing on a growing rack, like starting on our growing rack, and then uppotting and the different lighting system to kind of
So
be
to that,
successful.
if let's say in February in North Texas, you did start your tomatoes in here, you're inside, you have a heat mat, you're germinating it at the right temperature. You may not have to do the whole tray because you can mix and match these, right? Well, then in March, still too early to plant outside, but you can up pot that to this. And if we get a freak late storm, or maybe you don't have a greenhouse, or maybe you don't want to take the time to harden off outside, you can move it to a 5-inch pot and use this stuff year over year. None of this is going to break this year. If it does, let us know.
We got 4-year-old pots.
Yeah.
So that's for a single gardener. And I do like this for a single gardener too, because it's like 1, 2, 3 things. As somebody that's empty nester right now, it's hard to cook for 2 people. So 2, 3 squashes plants for your individual needs, that's plenty. You're still going to be giving fruit away.
Oh yeah. So we have a person was asking, when Bootstrap Farmer first started, did you sell the heavy duty black 1020s?
Yeah, that's Bootstrap Essential right there. Our first product was the heavy duty 1020 flat.
We still have ours.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. I was at a farm the other day, and they've had like all the different variations over the years, which I can tell. Like most people are like, oh,
yeah, you pointed it out when you came to visit too.
But it's fun to find an old one and maybe like, man, that's some vintage eBay stuff right there,
Yeah. And that's and those are perfect for. I would always tell our people that's first time gardener, don't try that one yet, because a lot of people will not. About 80% of people that start gardening their first year won't do it another year. Don't
invest in that until you're always going to grow something.
Yeah, but the second year, I think we did ours that same year, because that's when I had my arm. So
and you knew you were going to be growing.
Yeah, I knew I was going to be growing stuff. So I was like, I got those and haven't looked back.
It's one of those things where, I mean, I'm on the road so much I don't farm anymore, right? I don't even really keep a personal garden, but I use these trays for all my camera equipment. They're lining our they're lining our pantry. Like I've got spices in this one, and I'll have my nut mixes in this one. And
one of our subscribers uses it for her ducks. She puts water in it for her ducks.
So if somebody's looking for something on the website, that search box is your friend. So if you're looking for a 1020 flat or tray, and see, that's the thing, we call them 1020 trays, but some people call them flats. So I would just type in 1020 or tray, and then all of them will come up. You can kind of take a look.
Put Star's comment, because Star's on the website and while she's watching, and she doesn't want to order the wrong thing. She's a backyard gardener. What would you recommend to her to look at? Because honestly, I think that was it 72? Definitely
the ones that he has right there on the desk.
Those are perfect, and then the up pots. Definitely have a plan if you don't get them out fast enough.
So if you're just starting, I kind of like these because you have more soil in here to be a little bit more forgiving.
Yes.
So if this is going to hold a little bit more soil, and I have a little bit more water retention, you know, this is your first time doing this. Oh, I forgot to water today. Or, you know, try not to water too much. But we do have starter packs in both the 72s and the 32s. We pretty much got starter packs for everything. But take a look at, if you'll type in seed starting, we've got numerous amounts of resources and references. Don't feel like you have to order this thing today. I would rather you take a look at the seeds. What are you going to plant? Do they have any recommendations? And then kind of peruse and look. And if you have any questions after that, I mean, we answer the phones generally starting about 8 a.m. Eastern, and we'll go to, I think, 6 or 7 Eastern, because we have people on the East Coast or West Coast. So we'll just call us up, and if you know you don't get a hold of somebody,
do answer the phone.
Yeah.
They really do talk to you.
Yeah, because even when we bought our which we need to go talk about, the greenhouse, you know,
Hoop house, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I picked up the phone and still got a person, you know, I told him what I wanted, and I like it. I like that, you know, ask the reasons, you know, y'all just don't, okay, I want to buy this. Okay, here you go. This, how long, and that. They basically ask the reason behind the reason why you want to get it, so they can make sure you get the right equipment for whatever you're purchasing.
Yeah, good customer service does create good relationships, and that's really why we're huge fans, actually, with Bootstrap.
So our friend Kurt with Webfoot Farm had asked,
and he's our mentor for egg hatching, by the way. He's been our mentor.
For someone new or on a budget, but also looking for quality, would there be a reason they couldn't start with a 10-20 tray and their 2.5-inch pots?
I would say the only reason if you're going to pick a 32 cell or a 72 cell is just the size of your garden or the amount of different varieties. So some people, another thing we haven't talked about is a lot of people do some type of ornamentals or flowers or medicinal crops or something like that. This might be a little bit more better suited for that. It's one of those things. There's no one single perfect tray for every single application. If I was just starting out, it would either be a 32 or a 72. I'm probably going to lean to one of each, just because some seeds are 1/4 inch and some seeds are, you know, the head of a pin. And depending on what variety is and how big you're going to go, you may want to dial that down a little bit or up pot it so you don't have to up pot it later. And this is a great transplant size. A lot of people just start their tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants, peppers in this. A lot of people will start a smaller plug of lettuce, kale, brassica, and some of the smaller ones. So
and from experience, we have pushed the limits on that. So that's a good size, actually.
And I say, do we make an air pruning tray? Yeah. So the 72s are air prune trays. It's hard to see with this camera in the slide.
Yeah.
If you're on the website and you type in air prune, that's going to come up, and then these are going to come up, and then our 5-inch pots are going to come up. So
yeah,
we do have.
I love that black one because I start a lot of the lettuce in there. Right. And whatnot, and it's easy to. I like it because it's easy to poke up through there, and you can transplant it right there.
Let it dry for like a day or two. Like, make sure you don't water it so that it'll like poke up. That's the recommendation. And
the air prunes are in colors too, so it's black and then plus our 5 mainstay colors.
Do you have one in white?
I don't think there's an air prune in white, but I've been wrong more than
inside
once.
joke. Sorry.
I mean, you do something about this.
Why?
So Matt Akers, they were saying we've been doing a ton of reading this winter. Currently reading Market Farming Success by Lynn, and that has been a fantastic read.
That is farming heritage right there. She is good people.
Okay. I wonder if they got it. What's the thing I've been listening to?
You really gonna go and look at that?
Audible. I wonder if they are on Audibles too.
I've been listening to Audible while doing farm chores lately. It's kind of a new thing.
Emma from Sony's Place was only reason I wouldn't start at 2.5 pots is not all seeds will germinate, and I do not want to waste the soil. Well, you're not going to waste the soil because you can always repurpose the soil. But
we always repurpose ours.
I've never had any bad. I normally start with 2.5 pots or larger 4-inch pots. Is like plants, like say for instance, I'm going to grow tomatoes or peppers right now. Since it's beyond the 6 to 8 weeks of our last frost, I will start it in those, and I've never had problems germinating those plants in those size pots. But normally I would do those small 6-inch ones if I'm within that window or after that window. I'll put those in that because I know after they get that first true leaf, they're going into the ground. Oh, thank you, Star. Once again, is a small batch of seeds starting kit a good one? Oh, what?
Is small batch seed starting kit a good one to start with? So that's on their website.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, those kits are designed for people to start out and try things. So yeah, it's
He was talking for me.
No,
No, that's my boy.
No.
Well, if there's a line to get offended, let's start. So no, all the starting kits, it's meant for, it's like a trial size. You get it if for whatever reason the configuration was too small, too big, or just right. You don't have a lot into it, and you already have a basis in a 1020 and a 1020 no hole.
It'll create a dedicated customer out of you, though. I will say that, like, once you have the quality of that product, if you've dealt with others and like the flimsiness, there's no other trays that feel like, in my experience, like y'all's trays. So like, if you have to start somewhere, I would definitely encourage that personally.
I'll put it to you this way. The only time something's a bad buy is usually when they order way too much. Like, I want this and that and this and every option. And you're like, what do I do with all this stuff? So I would much rather you buy just a little bit and then try that out and then try this again.
Be like a little mouse, like, because we started off with a little bit and then like we kept getting like more.
Well, that's the thing about starting to garden, right? It's like, all of a sudden you're putting this expectation on yourself as like, I have to now grow carrots and be an expert in lettuce and then grow these herbs. Like, it takes time to get good at one thing. And you're going to find that there's so much pressure I think people tend to put on themselves when they start growing. And I think just enjoying the process, learning little notes, knowing that if a plant dies, it's not the end of the world, and giving yourself a little bit of grace to learn and try again. And if we're having this conversation in January, you can mess up 3 or 4 times before it gets mission critical, before you have to start out. So just enjoy that process.
Broke Farmer, he's out of Georgia. He wants to know how many 2.5-inch pots can fit in a 10-20 tray. 2 10-20 trays. So
32 in 1, so 64 in 2.
Okay. And they want to know, do you make insect rearing trays as what? I'm not sure what that is.
So that's an interesting question. Yes, there is a major beneficial insect grower that we do sell mesh trays to. I have no idea how this works, but people do use trays for that purpose. I don't know anything about it though.
Say what?
I mean, I know that we go through like a whole sterilization process.
Well, I'm reading this that they may be using the trays to develop a habitat for like ladybug or.
Okay. This one.
I could be totally reading this wrong, but.
Yeah, follow up on with us, Prismatic. Are you creating some type of habitat for that? Because I'm curious now, because it's definitely something you have experience with that I'm totally ignorant about, that I would like to know.
Dusty Goats says, we agree it takes time to perfect veggies in your particular climate and soil. Yeah, you just gotta.
I mean, we're on our 2nd year here, and we're just okay.
So you're doing mealworms. They're talking about mealworms.
So the mealworms, if you're doing that, this is a mesh tray. And that's the people that I was referencing earlier. That's what they use. That may be something you can do. The holes are like, it looks, I got to take a measure here.
Yeah.
Tiny.
But it may be enough for those to go through the.
Oh, look at you being all scientific engineering.
It's a tape measure. Relax.
Kind kind of like you, like trying to get like within an
Blah, 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 blah,
inch
blah, blah. We're not talking
on
about
a
me right now. We're not
house.
talking about me right now.
They're eighth of an inch holes, and there's a bunch of holes in there. So if the larvae is smaller than an eighth of an inch, possibly or possibly not, depending on how you're doing it. But that's
You need to screen until okay.
the mesh trays have been used for that purpose before. But again, I haven't been privy to how it works.
So we did that podcast with you about the NRCS and our hoop house and stuff.
Oh, and a lot of people here don't know that I'm going to be like doing a podcast with you. I haven't told anybody about that.
But can you kind of tell them, I guess, the logistics on how to get with the NRCS if they're trying to do a hoop house? Because y'all work almost hand in hand, help the your clients with hand in hand.
Which is unique. Like you guys
Right.
know all about NRCS and like help people like go through that process.
So if you're on the website, up at the top, there's a tab called resources. If you click resources, there's a tab called NRCS. I can't remember. It says NRCS on there, but in that is a downloadable package of every single piece of paperwork that you're going to need. And it's all been updated. So there's also directions on how to find your local office, how to find your local FSA office, Farm Services Administration, because you're going to have a farm service number, and then you're going to have to talk to that local office to make sure you qualify. But the first step is taking all those papers and saying, hey, this is my application for the NRCS. What can we do? And different offices, different states, different counties, they'll have different times to sign up. We don't know it, but your local office will. So the very first thing is to get the paperwork, fill it out as best you can, get that FSA number. And we talk about, there's a whole resource that we have that walks you through step by step of doing that. But the very first thing to do is get the paperwork, make contact with your local office, and have that person advise you, or don't be surprised if you're advising that person. It's not so much nowadays. Experience. Yeah, it's not so much nowadays, but certain areas. Look at it like this: Amarillo, right? Cattle country. They're not going to hire an NRCS agent that knows about market gardening because there's not hardly any market gardens in the Amarillo area. So I always like to remind people, these are people too. They're super busy. They're understaffed. They're just these government workers, man. They're trying to feed their family just like the rest of us. So being cool to them means they're going to be cool to you. And maybe by making their job a little easier, by taking that paperwork and already have, like you've already done the legwork for them. So now they can look up, okay, what's an RCS high tunnel? They'll have the information to go look that up and go, oh yeah, we got funds for that. But that's something they're going to have to do. So make their job easy.
And be prepared to hurry up and wait. Like it's, you know, like we were patient people. We weren't in any kind of rush. So anybody that is interested in something like that, don't think it's going to be like a rush deal. It's going to be probably a year turnaround.
Well, and don't make the success of your business or your farm or even just your garden like, if I don't get this, I'm going to fail as a farm business. That's not the way. It should be a bonus, right? Not if, then we'll be successful. There's plenty of other things that's going to be hard along the way. So just look at that as if you get it or when you get it, then man, you had a great day because at least part of this thing got paid for.
Yeah, and I will say that even though they didn't know a lot of stuff about what we were doing, they were very kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we had a good experience with them. And, you know, because of you guys, we understood that, you know, that they were invested in other knowledge.
Right.
What we were doing. So, but you guys filled the gap for them, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and see, I was the first person, and you and I live in the same county. I was the first person in Lamar County to get an NRCS high tunnel way back in the day. But that person has since left. So you guys had to start all over. To somebody that has come into service this area for cattle, cotton, corn, soybeans. That's all we do here, right?
Yeah,
So,
and they're not very knowledgeable on regenerate, you know, some of the stuff that we are doing.
Right.
But yeah.
But they're there to help. They want to help, but you sometimes have to grease your own wheels to do so.
Yeah.
Matt Aker said we did this last year. Now we're getting waiting to see if you get approved. That was our experience here in Iowa. We had to educate and the good thing about y'all Matt Akers, if you or your wife, you're
And I don't know
similar.
which one of you is on
Yeah,
here.
y'all are in a similar boat that me and Miss Nakid Gardner are in. Being a minority, it definitely puts
His
you.
veteran status put him first, and then being minority
Yeah.
was the second.
Yeah, but it
And
definitely
then
helps out.
female.
Yeah. Yeah, females count as minority,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but that's
Whatever.
the way it is.
So the
So, so they're asking how many minimum years do you have to be farming to get an NRCS grant, aka how many years do you have to have it on the Schedule F? So
first time farmers qualify.
Right.
That's another thing.
Right.
Yeah.
There's been a ton of changes. Like my content team is actually more up on this than I am these days because they just did the big revamp. But there's so many more opportunities now than what there has been. And to your case, new farmers, that's a whole nother subcategory.
Yeah. So Emma's they're planning on doing one when they get to Idaho, getting a high tunnel.
They need to hook up with Matt Aker because Matt Aker is where they would like to be. I want to say.
Well, Matt Akers in Iowa.
Oh, I thought they were in. Okay.
Yeah, that's the potato state.
So Prismatic, I see the next question coming down. It is a 3-year minimum for the length of the grant, but not necessarily you have to be farming for 3 years. I could be wrong there, but
your schedule F has to deal with taxes. Is nothing to deal with the NRCS.
Is that how that goes? I'm doing our 3-year, like our clock has started. Like I'm already like doing my countdown of this 3-year thing because after that, like
yeah.
I gotta.
And a lot of people they get this whole thing about not allowing the government to be on their property and all. It's not that bad.
It's really like not. They come one time, and a lot of people think that they're just gonna pop up any time. That's not the situation here.
They don't have. They're too understaffed.
They're too busy
to worry about it.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like that hasn't been talked enough about it, like enough. And something we haven't touched on here is that more of you that are kind of thinking about this, like the more demand there is, the more funds become available. And what we have experienced last year to this year is that because there hasn't been enough people to come forward for funds, they've actually cut funds. So it's not even as good this year for people as it was for us last year.
And then you compound it with the funding has not caught up with inflation. And so a high tunnel grant primarily is just going to cover the structure itself. It's not going to cover options like shade cloth, roll up sides, extra doors, things like that. And so
be prepared to come to the table with some money.
I always hear, well, the NRCS people said that this was going to pay for the whole thing. Well, if they did, either you heard it wrong or they said it wrong, but either case, you're funded on a square foot basis based off the need of the grant. And I think that's important to highlight that this grant is not, or cost share, whatever people want to call it, it's not here to help your farm business. It's here to conserve that block of soil that is undercover. So the only thing that the grant people care about is making sure that the investment that they're putting in to cover that piece of ground is what their specifications are. Not that, well, I can grow more carrots now. That's not what it's for. They just want to make sure that some type of root structure is in the ground, conserving water. That's what the grant's for. So
and you don't have to do this for like market gardening. Like you can literally do this for your own personal growing for your family. Like that, I really
think there is a farming component, but there could be one of the new programs that do allow for home gardening. I haven't come across it, but I could be wrong.
They did, like when I'll just say from personal experience, they wanted us to prove to them that we knew how to grow. The fact that we had a channel that they could reference us growing stuff did work.
A chicken or two kicking around.
Yeah.
So that's the goats homestead. Okay, what is the NRCS high tunnel grant? We are learning about grants in our area.
And where are you guys?
So if for anybody that's wanting a high tunnel, comment down below. Put high tunnel. So can you tell a little bit about this, Nick?
Where they would start or even ask.
Yeah.
I know we Googled our local NRCS office for our county. That's where we started.
I'm trying to link this up.
So while you link that up, I'll just say like what we did was NRCS in Google, NRCS office near me.
Yeah.
And we called them.
Mm-hmm. And we just went up there since it was kind of
after talking to them to find out what we needed to bring with us, because we needed to bring for you your DD 214 because of the vet status.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot what else though we had to bring, but we brought what they told us over the phone because I didn't want to waste my time or my gas.
Yeah, and we went up there, it took us probably like an hour to fill out the paperwork and stuff because I had to sign stuff. And since I'm the one that's working, I had to do a power attorney for her so that way
because I'm the secretary around here.
Here we go.
It ain't like that. Whatever. I'm like, tell me. But I am the secretary around here.
Just to answer the question, what is it? It is a cost share program from the natural resources part of the FDA. Their goal is to fund a little section of property that's going to have root structure in ground year round to protect the soil and to protect any runoff issues. They have found that high tunnels are great for that, so that's the program.
So they're invested for that reason.
Yeah, the benefit is farmers get to use it to grow crops and have their thing in it, and it's usually a 3-year commitment. You're going to have to kick some money in, but it is a cost share program, and it's.
You're not limited to just one. Like you can get.
Oh no, we've got people. They either get one or they'll get granted for 3 to 5 is what we see over and over from us, and we've worked. There may be 2 or 3 states left, but we've pretty much worked with counties in every single state by this point.
Yeah, I know we want to do one more at least.
Yeah, and they just do more than just help fund for high tunnels. They do other things. The USDA,
water
NRCS,
catchment systems,
water catchment systems, ponds, fencing if you have livestock, crops if you want to do cover crops or improve your crops for your farmland. But you just have to go in there and find out what all that they what's available for in your area. You can even go on their website too.
It doesn't hurt to ask these questions, and even if you get turned down, just to ask. Like to me, like I always say, closed mouths don't get fed. Like it's better to ask these questions to them directly.
Jennifer asks, what if it's just you? What do you mean by that, Jennifer?
Well, it's not just a you thing. It's a does your land qualify? And to find out, again, Sunny's Place has put it up a couple of times, but on our website, bootstrapfarmer.com, in the middle, up at the top, it says resources. There's an NRCS link, and it gives you all the different ways that you can see if you qualify or not. But it's more about the land than it is the individual person.
And with the NRCS, they also have a seed program. Because we signed up.
Oh, there's all kinds of initiatives.
Oh, there's all kinds. It's not just about a high tunnel. Like we have to for our field. What is that program called?
I forgot what it is.
But it's to get seeds for our fields.
So we can do cover crops.
Cover crops, yeah.
But think about that again. They're going to help cost share seeds. So you're putting roots back down into the property. They're funding. They're funding different ways to divert and save water, so it's not just running off and causing erosion. That's as long as you keep that in mind that's what the purpose of this is. You'll feel better about the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know, Rob, that you were Esseance family. You just had that up there that they just picked up their applications.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, because on one of his videos, they're out in Virginia, and they just cleared out some land, some portion of their land, and they're possibly they're seeing where their soil is from all the rains and stuff. So they're thinking about putting a high tunnel in this particular area. So
And it is good to kind of like, I know it took us a year to figure out like where water settled. Like it took us a while to figure out where the perfect spot would be to even put our high tunnel.
And that's part of that program in which they come out and grade they're not grading you as a person. They're going, does this place have an erosion problem? Does this place, have viable soil that we can even save, or is it just bedrock? They're going to come, and part of your funding is based off of the grade that the land get or the need that the land gets. So some people get higher if there's some parameters that this grant is going to help fix the land or fix the runoff or fix the erosion, you'll actually get more funding. But that's some of it's subjective, but there is in that list of paperwork, you see the grade sheet and you see what they're looking for. So placement of the tunnel itself, even within a small property, is going to have a lot to do with that funding situation.
yeah. So Kelly Pooh Bear says she's trying to get a high tunnel out there in California. Have y'all done any work out there in California?
We've done a lot of work in California. California is one of those markets where it's the opposite problem of the Panhandle in Texas, right? There's a ton of market gardeners. So it's a hyper competitive place to try to get one of these because people have known about it for so long. People ask about them way more often than they ever do in some of these Midwest areas. And so the FDA starts at the state level, and then the individual states decide which individual counties get what amount, and they're all different based off of need. So again, some there's just not enough money to go around in one of these hyper competitive locations. So some people wait years, some people look out, some people score higher. All of these things come into factor.
What would cause somebody to score higher?
Well, you guys go. Sydney's a veteran, minority owned.
Okay, yeah.
If the land required more protection than somebody over here, maybe this person has been applying a couple of times, but their land is like really great. Maybe this person just applied once, but the land's horrible and needs some reclamation. They're more likely to get it, and that's again because it's about the land.
Okay. Matt Aker says, is there a grant for soil amendments? I mean, is there a stretch, but it's a necessity and expensive in bulk?
I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, that one I don't even know.
That's above my head, but I would ask them. Like that is a legit question to directly ask that office, and they might not even understand the answer to have, because I know our conversation about water catchment systems was an entirely
they weren't aware about what
conversation.
One thing I want to bring up is as you're looking about anything at the NRCS, is there's so much old information and the way search engines work. Let's say an article's been read 3 or 4 million times, but it's 10 years old, and this one just came out, and you do an inquiry that could get you to both. I mean, sometimes, a lot of the times, you're going to see that older, outdated information. That's what makes the NRCS so tricky for so many people, is they're looking at old knowledge. So we're trying to revamp ours at least once a year. I had a great meeting with the NRCS a couple of months ago, and we're fixing to have another meeting with them to get some more answers and get a little bit ahead of that curve. But it's something we got to stay on all the time because it's because we work with so many NRCS agents. Sometimes we're like, yeah, that was true, but here's the new, and we're giving them the new guidelines. So it's on us as a service provider to farmers. It's on farmers to kind of do their legwork. I wish it was more on the agents, but again, they're just people too, and we're all just doing the best we can. So I'm really pro agent, because they do an important job, and I think that they get a lot of flack for.
I think it's easy to focus on negatives with them,
right?
And while we had kind of like uninformative, and it comes across a little negative, they were such nice people. Like they gave me their personal phone numbers, like.
Well, look, if you have to work for the government, which is whether work for them or like the IRS, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, they're just better people anyway.
Yeah, they've been really kind. Oh, Star.
So Sarah said, this has been the best live yet. All this info can't be bought. Sure hope my little bit helped you guys. Oh, it has.
Thank you.
Mr. Bootstrap, Nick, has been so helpful.
I gotta change my gravestone to say Mr. Bootstrap now.
I like it. You know what? I'm gonna start calling. I'm gonna change that in my phone.
You know
after
what?
Mr. Bootstrap.
I know a lot of people have left already, but that's going to be how I refer to you in our podcast when we're together.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Remember who does all the editing.
Oh, okay.
You gotta say real fast, Mr. Bootstrap. So
Say something important. No, that's cute.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Look, it's so much fun for me to answer questions because as the person that is part of the creative team, we spend all day, every day, just what do they want to know now? What do they? And we're thinking of what piece of content should we do. I love Q&A stuff. You know, I've done a lot of speaking before with farmers, so I really miss that type of interaction. So this has been a lot of fun.
Okay. Callie, she does. I'm thinking about becoming a nonprofit. What do you think? Nonprofit, what?
Oh, like a farmstead kind of, or market garden, like a nonprofit market garden for your community. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know if that helps the case in a competitive California market garden area. If you don't already have something going, I'm guessing that comes into play in a competitive market gardening area.
Yeah.
Now, this is where I quote too short, and if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. But that's my own personal opinion.
You're not wrong.
So look, I say that I'm a jerk sometimes, but we work with a lot of nonprofits. Be prepared to spend most of your time fundraising. Be prepared to spend most of your time not doing the thing that you actually want to do in farming, because at that point, you're running an organization that pays its administrators to basically host events and fundraise, all while just fighting an uphill battle of competing with a bunch of other nonprofits that are looking for money in every sector. Now, I've seen some that do a tremendous amount of good, but you got to have a pretty extensive network and a solid plan and lots of runway and backing to even get that going. So just I feel like everybody's heart is in the right place for nonprofits, but I am I
don't have the energy for it.
Yeah, it's a lot. So I mean, good on you if that's what you want to do. But I love for-profit farmers. I think when all the chips are on the table and we're making an income or saving up for a second career or doing a side hustle, that's where true innovation comes. That's when the best of the best. I'm all about small farmers doing the very best they can for everybody involved. So that's really what gets me going.
Callie, Jennifer wants to know, do you mean starting a co-op?
We're actually participating in a very successful co-op in our area. So like if you have some questions, inbox us, because we know some people that may be able to answer some stuff for you in starting a co-op. I mean.
Oh yeah. Emma, Sonny's place.
Oh, that's right.
Husband.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm not the best person to ask.
Yeah.
Just because I just don't play in that space.
I don't know. Everything costs money. Like I need, like right now, like we're getting slayed for increasing our price on eggs, and I've been spending my week explaining to people like feed has gone up $7 a bag. What do you expect? Like, they don't understand how much cost goes into stuff. So like, yeah, that's one of I can't do nonprofit when things cost so much.
Yeah. So
I really appreciate you giving us your time and
let's do it again. I love it.
Especially, with the NRCS. I'm glad that we got to that topic. We didn't even discuss doing that. We were actually going to focus a bit more on seed starting with our gardening people and maybe some hoop house questions, which we didn't. I think we talked more about NRCS for a little bit there. But that was great, valuable information for people here.
No, I loved it. Thanks for having me out. Thanks for everybody that came on live and is watching this later. It's what we love to do. So anytime you need me to come and babble for an hour, I'm all yours.
All right.
Yeah, and if
I sure appreciate it, Mr. Bootstrap.
Yeah, anybody that's watching this,
Tell you people.
What do you mean, you people?
and anybody watching this that wants us to maybe come back and just do a very concentrated topic, comment down below. Bring Mr. Bootstrap back. And what we'll talk about, we'll do that.
We are also starting a new series, very similar to this. Carl and I are actually doing this series. So we have podcast at bootstrapfarmer.com as the email. People can write in questions. I've always wanted to do a Q&A show, so we've got a couple in the can. That first one comes out next week. So if you have questions beyond this, we get a little bit more into depth. So podcast at bootstrapfarmer.com will get you.
Yeah, go subscribe to his channel because those things pop up usually like 5 a.m.
I'll be driving to work and be like,
that's his commute. His morning commute is watching whatever you guys release.
Holy moly! Thank you, Star.
Star, you're so sweet.
Don't be wasting all your seed starting money.
Yeah, that's some. You could have got some more trays,
but I'm gonna use it for seed now.
Yeah, I'm gonna use it for some hoarding seed. Thank you. But we appreciate all of you guys being here. Ask any questions below. We'll try to get an answer to you. We always try to do that because we are here to try to help as much as we can from our format.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, Tori and we've got some podcasts coming up. So if there's some questions we can cover there, I mean, don't feel like you have to ask one now. You can do it later. And maybe that's something you and I can cover.
Yeah, I'll bring any ideas to the table for our future podcasts as well. Oh, where can they find your podcast? That's something I want to put it in our show notes also.
And it's pretty much an any podcast catcher. I mean, Apple,
like Spotify.
Sometimes Spotify doesn't link up. We're working on that one, but Apple for sure. Google Play it's on there. I tell you what, Sonny, you've been the biggest help. Reach out to me, Nick at bootstrapfarmer.com. I'm gonna send you a $100 gift card just for being all of our secretaries tonight.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So I want to give back to you a little bit for that. So
she's the bomb.
Yeah. So we normally do these every first Saturdays of each month at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. However, we're going to start doing possibly more of these.
A mid-month.
Yeah, maybe a mid-month and things of that nature for people watching on the replays and things of that nature. So we got an interesting guest next month.
I don't even know about this. I'm like, well, I don't know.
Well, we have an interesting guest next month for people that are doing homesteading. YouTube, we have a lot of content creators that are watching right now. Basically, he's our tax person. He's going to kind of help, him and his wife are going to help.
Tax write-offs.
How to help benefit where you're basically all these seeds you're using.
The conferences we go to.
Yeah, how to basically use that as expenses to save on your tax dollars. So stay tuned for that on the first week of February, first Saturday of February, 7 p.m. So stay tuned.
So they'll be there for some questions. So come to the table with some questions on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks again, Mr. Bootstrap.
Love you guys. Thank you.
It's stuck. It's stuck.
Yeah. I'm gonna forget your name now. I'm like, oh, what's Mr. Bootstrap name again?
I'll take it. Been called a lot of work.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on, and thanks everybody else for staying around and getting some information. Until the next video, let's grow together.
Thank you. See ya.